Dismissive avoidant, emotionally unavailable, or is he just not into you? Either way, run! Joking. Because they lay us into this and they're not all the same. Let's clear up the big confusion. I see it everywhere on Reddit threads, my emails, even clients talk about this and they want to label their people they're dating, the guy they're married to. Like, who is this person? What are they exactly? Do they actually love me? Maybe are they secure, but maybe right now they're emotionally unavailable. What is exactly going on here? And it's not all the same. There are nuances to this. We can't just put the same men or women we date all in just one box. Some people argue all emotionally unavailable men are dismissive avoidant. Others say being emotionally unavailable is just a polite way of saying they are just not into you. And I want to unpack this today with you. That way I can actually help you in your dating life and the people you are attracted to and you are maybe in a relationship with. Before I start talking about actually what does it mean to be emotionally unavailable, I want to say hi if you're new here. I'm Yula. I'm the Anxious to Secure coach and welcome to the Anxious to Secure podcast. Disclaimer, I'm not a therapist or doctor. This content is for informational and entertainment purposes only. It's not intended to diagnose, treat, or heal any mental health condition. If you're in an abusive relationship or dealing with severe mental health challenges, always seek professional advice. So, what does it mean to be emotionally unavailable? It's a catch-all phrase people use when someone can't or won't meet you emotionally unavailable. It's actually about them and their capacity to be available for emotions in that moment. And that can look like only texting late at night, for example, or shutting down when you bring up deeper conversations and when they're feeling like they want to shut down and they can't handle this emotional overload at that moment. Saying, I'm not ready for a relationship, but still keeping you around. And being emotionally unavailable simply means someone is not available emotionally, and that can happen even for secure people. And a lot of you might think, wait, secure people and emotionally unavailability? That doesn't go in one sentence, but it can be. And again, this is where it happens, where it's important to just get closer and get curious and seeing like they're not all the same. Maybe ask yourself right now, just when you think of someone you're dating right now, are they unavailable because of stress or circumstances? Or is there maybe a deeper pattern going on behind this? And this can also happen to people you are even married to. So securely attached people are usually able to be around lots of emotions. People who are maybe more sensitive can handle when someone is also even the trauma dumping things on you. They're able to set boundaries if it's getting too much for them and to cope with their own emotions. However, it's possible that there are going through phases where they are also emotionally more unavailable. Maybe during dating, a secure guy might say, I'm not looking for anything serious right now. And there's nothing wrong with that. It means in that moment, he's emotionally unavailable for dating, for meeting anyone else right now. Not because he's incapable, but because he's making a decision. And in a relationship, maybe after a big loss or if he goes through a heartbreak, he might also pull back emotionally. But what I see is that he is still able to communicate this. He might say something like, you know what, I'm struggling right now. I love you, but I don't have much time or energy to give to you right now. And he's more transparent. You know that he's going through a loss, through a heartbreak, through, maybe someone passed away, something deeper is going on there, maybe even something huge at work, very much stress-related, emotionally unavailable for you, doesn't have the capacity to give and to receive. And there's nothing wrong with that. And then there's someone who is emotionally unavailable. Generally, not always avoidant. This is more the inconsistent person, very unclear how this would play out in dating. Might be he avoids defining the relationship, but still kind of seeks closeness, is very loosey-goosey with his words, maybe ghosts you one day, then just calls you late night again and pulls you back in. Or in a relationship, he dodges very deeper conversations about vulnerability. He gets very uncomfortable when you bring up needs, often give mixed signals. If you are married to someone like this, he's physically present, but emotionally very absent, engaged in routine. But intimacy feels very one-sided. Maybe it feels very much like you're having like a buddy who lives with you in a flat, but you just say, hi, how was your day? Oh yeah, fine. And you just live as like roommates and you feel, yeah, very maybe suffocated by this. It's not silence, you do talk, but there's nothing deeper going on. No talks about future, and you're always, feeling on edge. And then there's really the avoidant attachment style, who we get often confused with this pure emotionally unavailable person, because avoidant attachment is also emotionally more unavailable, but there are differences here. So avoidant attachment, also called dismissive avoidant, this goes deeper. It's like a pattern response rooted in childhood. This is not just behavioral, this is based on their upbringing. So in dating, how this might look like, it's he gets close first. So for example, my relationship with my more dismissive avoidant partner, we started dating. First of all, it was just like we met as flatmates and we started developing a friendship, and only like suddenly a few months in, there was like more. And once we started dating, our feelings developed very fast. It was this very magnetic tension. And he like wanted to say I love you very fast, and everything went like crazy. And eventually, after this honeymoon phase, after you've bonded so close, had so much physical intimacy, then he usually starts to pull back, because then he feels like, now I'm myself again. Now I feel like, wait, is this about where we're gonna commit to each other? And he doesn't feel safe anymore, or she as well, right? And right now, and then they're going back to their normal self right now, where space feels like safety. And for the anxious attached person, how I used to be, closeness feels like safety. And then this is where there's this push and pull, which happen usually in a relationship. But because they are overwhelmed with their emotions, it's not that you're too much, but it's like that their capacity for emotions is just very, very small. So it's very easy for them to say there must be something wrong with you, because they're not grown up in this kind of environment. They have learned through early caregiving that their emotions are not really safe to experience. It's not safe to the way they feel. They were either being dismissed for how they felt or even shamed, and that really encouraged them to be more independent. And if you're grown up in an environment where parents, dismissed your feelings, or you felt you had to shut down that part, then later when you're growing up, then you do the same thing to other people often. Like, then you minimize other people's feelings. Like, you tell them, or maybe you're there too much, or they're too sensitive. I'm sure you kind of get a sense for that, because it's what you're probably experiencing right now. If you have an anxious attachment style and listening to this episode, and your partner might be avoidant attached. But if this happens for a kid, for a baby, and then growing up, this is very damaging and hurtful. So I feel like this doesn't excuse anything if your partner does that to you, and they're minimizing your feelings and emotions and for just feeling overwhelmed. But it explains so much, and it adds empathy and a level of really depth of understanding. Going with this into the relationship, when your partner does that, creates a different depth where you can then start a different conversation from that. And it's just because there's so much hate online about the dismissive avoidant attachment style. And I think it's important to know why they're doing things in a specific way. And then you can communicate from this place. In a marriage, for example, dismissive avoidant might be very good with finances or with logistics or organizing the house, but very weak when it comes to having deep, emotional, vulnerable chats, talking about future plans, rehashing conflicts and arguments, and really talking about, hey, this is how I felt. This is what I need. Can we do this together? But again, there's a degree between everything. For example, with like my partner and me, I have worked so much on myself, which created, I think, so much change in my partner as well. And the way he communicates now differently is like so different from like years ago. And it created so much change in our relationship that I wouldn't even recognize him now from like 3-4 years ago. And I think that's a huge difference as well. If you see the needle is moving, it will move at a completely different pace. But if you see it's moving and it's growing and they are willing to, but just much slower, that's a great sign. There are also dismissive avoidance where it's so deep, literally the trauma, the needle is not moving, they're not willing to improve. There are so many nuances to this. I saw someone writing on Reddit, it's like they were saying, secure people who are emotionally unavailable don't keep people hanging. And that's what they said. And they kept going on saying they either don't date or they make it clear they don't want a relationship. It's mostly avoidant people who keep you around while giving nothing. And I must say, do 100% agree with the secure people part here. Secure people might choose not to date, but they won't breadcrumb you. In that moment, they're emotionally unavailable for you or in a relationship, and it doesn't make them an emotionally unavailable person, but it's just a period, right? Avoidant people, on the other hand, often keep one foot in, one foot out, which feels also emotionally unavailable. I don't agree with the second part. They're saying like it's mostly avoidant people keep you around by giving you nothing. I feel like this person who wrote this experienced a lot of hurt. And I hear you. There have been so many people who have been either dating, been in relationships, or being married to someone with a dismissive avoidant attachment style. And maybe someone who has been just emotionally unavailable completely during phases. But I want to highlight that there's also differences here. Like my partner is still more avoidant attached, but it's not that he doesn't give me nothing. Absolutely not. Kind of getting off track here, but I want to say is dismissive avoidance are not giving you nothing. Some of them might do give you nothing because they're so deep in their traumas, but others, they do give you a lot. But you're often, if you have an anxious attachment style, you want love in a specific way. You want love through physical activities, through physical touch, through reassurance, lots and lots. And if you can't get it, then you think there's something wrong with them. However, I want you also to reflect on yourself, to what's actually healthy. Do they love you in their way, but you want to be loved in your own specific way? I think this is also a moment to reflect here. And I talk about this in so many other episodes. Now, the coaching question I have for you is, does this person you are dating give you clarity, or do they keep you in limbo? And now for the next part, is this just not into you piece? Sometimes we really overcomplicate things. If someone isn't showing you effort, consistency, or care, it's not about their attachment style. It doesn't matter what the attachment style is or what we label them as. They're just not invested. The difference is here an avoidant attachment style might still invest slowly, but a little bit maybe inconsistently. So someone who's just not into you just doesn't bother at all, or gives you very extreme reactions of giving you something and then pulls back completely. So ask yourself this: the person you're dating or you're in a relationship with, are they putting in effort in their own way? Is the needle moving a little bit more and more? Because again, as I said, the pace is differently, especially if they have a dismissive avoidant attachment style. And that's okay. We all have a different pace. But it's important that the needle moves. They don't have to love you in your specific way. They don't have to empty the dishwasher in your specific ways, how you would want it to be. They don't have to reassure you 10 times a day, but do they show up in their specific way? Do you actually feel deep down they are a good person and they actually love you? Everything else is often our anxiety and social media. It's on all of this, on top of that. And the final breakdown, just to summarize everything up a little bit because I'm not sure if it was too messy or too confusing. Let me know in the YouTube comments. So being emotionally unavailable can be temporarily, like someone going through stress or burnout or grief. It can be permanent if they've built walls around their emotions. Yeah. Then someone who's more avoidant attached or dismissive avoidant, I would say it's different. It comes from attachment, wounds, and traumas from the past, from their caregivers, how they have been raised. This is not just behavioral, and this is not just temporarily, unless they work on this. So it's like a consistent, long-term pattern that shows up across relationships, not just with one person. And then there's a question of, are they just not into you? And I think this is the most important question, right? Like, how do you feel around them? How do they actually show up for you? Is there love from them to you? Is there consistency in the way that really fills your cup if you would fill your cup? Do they just give you sometimes something and then you're hooked and you want more? Or do they provide consistent love and care? Are your basic needs at least met from them? And do you want to be around them? Or are you just actually just with this person because you're scared there's no one else better out there for you? And it's maybe too late for you, or that you're not good enough, or that you're too much. This is here really not about wounds or labels. It just means maybe there's no romantic interest. Maybe there used to be, but it's important to look at right now. If you notice someone is just not into you and doesn't give you love in their love language, then that is the most important answer you have. And you deserve someone who is into you. And if they're emotionally unavailable in this moment, in this period, because they're going through lots of stress or depression or anything else, then I would say be patient. If you're someone with more dismissive avoidant attachment style, see if the needle is moving, if they do love you, which is the case if they are avoidant and have a dismissive avoidant style, but there's nuance to that. So do they show up for you in the way you want them to be? If not, do your work first, become securely attached, while also expressing your needs from a regulated and calm state. The more you can really show up for yourself first, work on your anxiety, on your emotions, show up in a way that you really take care of yourself, the more then you are able to set boundaries, express your needs from a regulated place. And then if nothing is changing because you avoid it, maybe is just unable to do the work at all, then your abandonment wounds won't keep you stuck in this anymore. And then you can walk away, and you know there will be enough people out there, enough secure people who are willing to love you in the way you deserve it. And because you've already done the work on yourself, you're able to have created already a new comfort zone of being around more secure people more and more. And that's the key. To wrap up this episode, next time when you're spiraling and wondering if they're avoidant or emotionally unavailable or just not into you, pause, ask yourself, are they just stressed or checked out? Do they have deeper avoidant patterns, or are they just not invested? This clarity will save you months of emotional pain. And in the end, we always create and reinforce our limiting beliefs, and we create self-fulfilling prophecies. Because, for example, if you think you don't deserve love, if you think you're not good enough, you treat yourself in this way because this is how you feel. And then you only date the same kind of people who also treat you not good enough. Then you are not able to set boundaries because this person might leave, and it creates this whole self-fulfilling prophecy. And the same is true with all your other beliefs. So really doing the work of regulating your nervous system, challenging and rewiring your limiting beliefs, meeting your own needs first, so you don't depend on anyone else, so you don't feel like you're falling apart if someone breaks up with you, or you're going through a challenge or conflict, and then able to communicate your needs also in your relationship from a place of wholeness, and also looking at the deeper patterns doing the shadow work. This is all part of this. And then imagine how you would feel every day in relationships and work and your romantic life. coming from this place. So if you want help with this, or even if you're going through a breakup or a challenging time, and even if you're just excited to do this work, reach out to me, hop on either free call or connect with me on my emails to see what's the best fit. I have one-on-one coaching calls or coaching via WhatsApp or Telegram. So working on your relationships and on your health, I think, is the most important thing you can do for yourself. In the next episode, I'll talk about 10 signs he is emotionally unavailable. Thank you so much for being here. Lots of love, Yula. Bye bye.